Hello, Tubman. Hi, how are you? Hopefully, today is a great day. It is Miss Cannon, and I am here for another short story. And I found one about Harriet Tubman. So, our short story today is on Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was born a slave in Maryland. She worked as a maid, cook, and child's nurse. She also worked in the cotton fields. Harriet was a slave for many years. In 1849, she escaped. Traveling mostly at night, she safely reached Pennsylvania where there was no slavery. Harriet was free, but then she thought about the family she had left behind. She decided to go back to Maryland and help other slaves escape. During the 1850s, Harriet made 19 trips down south, each time risking her life. She became a conductor on the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a group of people who hid and fed under runaway slaves. Their homes were known as secret stations. Harriet rescued many slaves, including her aging parents. In her lifetime, she led hundreds of slaves to freedom. In 1978, her picture was featured on a U.S. postage stamp. She was the first African American woman to be honored in this way. As before, I am going to go through four questions. And remember, I'm not giving the answers until the end. And also go back in your story to make sure that you have chose the answer that best fits the question. So, once again, number one, this story is mostly about. What is this story mostly about? Not small bits and pieces, but the overall story. Is it about a woman who wanted a family, a woman who liked Maryland, a woman who worked to free slaves? Write your answer down. Number two, Harriet Tubman returned to Maryland. Why did she go back to Maryland? Was it to save her slave, to help other slaves escape? To stay close to her family, or to find better work? Why did Harriet Tubman go back to Maryland? Number three, the Underground Railroad was a group of people who helped slaves. Or was it a train that took slaves to freedom? Or was it a place in Maryland? What was the Underground Railroad? And last, number four, in 1978, the US government honored Harriet. Why did the US government honor Harriet? Is it A, by, or how did the US government honor Harriet? I apologize, it's a how. By giving her a medal, by putting her picture on a stamp, or by making a statue of her? How did the US government honor Harriet? So we have, what is the story mainly about? We have a why question. Why did Harriet return to Maryland? We have the Underground Railroad was. We have a what question. What was the Underground Railroad? And then we have a how. How did the US government honor Harriet? Remember, go back in your story to answer these questions. I'll give you a few minutes. And if you don't answer them all before I give the answer, pause this video and then go back. Alrighty. So this story is mainly about, if you chose C, C is the correct answer. The reason why it's not a woman who wanted a family, it didn't talk about Harriet wanted a family in this story. And it also did not talk about how she liked Maryland. It talked about how she freed slaves and how she went back to get people like her family members to make them free. Two, Harriet returned to Maryland. Why did she go back to Maryland? She returned back to help other slaves escape. In the story, paragraph 2, she decided to go back to Maryland and help other slaves escape. Paragraph 2. Number 3, the Underground Railroad was, if you chose a group of people who helped slaves. In paragraph 3, it says the Underground Railroad was a group of people who hid and fed runaway slaves. And last, in 1978, the US government honored Harriet by putting her picture on a stamp. In paragraph 3, it says in 1978, her picture was featured on a US postage stamp. Well, you guys, that concludes today's short story. And maybe you can share some of this information you learned with some of your family members. Have a great day. See you Friday.